Now, please welcome to the podium returning Rotarian Jeff Trado, president of the Trado Group, to introduce today's speaker. Jeff?
Good noon, everybody. That was last week, remember? All right. I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker, Jaqulynn Honl. Jaqulynn is a relative newcomer to our fine city. She attended the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and raised her family in that area before starting this chapter of her life in Milwaukee about 5 years ago. Jaqulynn is the Chief Operating Officer of Transit Innovations, LLC, and Transit Oriented Development, LLC. As a stakeholder and investor in the E-Way Regional Commuter Rail System project, her company, JAC Enterprises LLC, is a certified women business enterprise and women-owned small business. Upon settling in Milwaukee, her goal has been to root herself in this community by lending her time and talent to an organization or project that would naturally immerse her in the history and culture of Milwaukee, which led her to the E-Way Regional Commuter Rail System project. So, show of hands, who's heard of this project yet? Couple people, okay. I hadn't heard of it up until about 6 months ago or so when I met Jaqulynn and her team, and I'm really excited about what she's going to share. And as an architect, I have to say two things. One, you're going to see a lot of really cool designs. I didn't design them, so but I love them. They're cool, they're fanciful, they're exciting. What got me excited about inviting Jaqulynn here is what this project is all about, well before and then also functionally what this transit system could do. Because we know in Milwaukee and in our region, transit is really important and it's going to be really important moving forward. So I think without further ado, I want to welcome Jaqulynn. Before I do, she told me that she's always followed her natural attraction to good people, leadership, and service opportunities. So she could not turn down an invitation to join us here today. So if you could, join me in giving Jaqulynn a warm welcome to the Rotary Club of Milwaukee.
Well, this is quite a room full of people. It's really exciting to be here today, so thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to thank Jeff for extend my appreciation for him hosting me today and for inviting me for this wonderful event. And I want to acknowledge my colleague, Carrie Wendt, for joining us here today. Carrie, if you'd stand. Carrie is she is our Chief Experience Officer and the Director of Public Relations for the project. So Jeff told you a bit about me. I thought I would share with you a little bit about how I found my way to Milwaukee from central Wisconsin, where I believe it's generally 10 degrees colder in the winter, and there's usually about 10 inches more of snow than here. And in the summer, it's about 10 degrees warmer and more humid. So I have been loving the lakefront of Milwaukee. I did raise 3 children there. They are all adults living on their own, living their own lives, which I think for anyone in this room who has children, that is the goal. So I am very proud to say that. I am blessed with a grandchild and one more on the way. So very proud of that as well. Milwaukee did represent a new chapter for me, and it's been a pleasure getting to know the area for the past 5 years. I am leaning into something new. It's something that my parents taught me. It is not new to me. My parents were entrepreneurs, so it's all that I've ever known. And my father left me with something to think about. He said, never leave a place, a project, or a business anything short of better than you found it. So that usually meant getting involved and making personal sacrifices for the sake of community, whether contributing your time, talent, or resources, and sometimes all of the above. So when I met the E-Way project and the people that were dedicated to making a difference at our station communities, I knew that I was in the right place, that I was where I needed to be, and that the project deserved my attention. So I want to start by addressing the cover of my presentation today. What you're looking at is a proposed future station development for Waukesha Station for the E-Way Regional Commuter Rail System. I want to acknowledge the KPA group who provided design and architecture concepts that you'll see throughout my presentation. Keep in mind that these are proposed and future concepts, and I'll give you some direction along the way regarding the beautiful images that you're going to see for each slide. So why am I here? At one time, Milwaukee had a successful and vibrant intercity and commuter rail service until about 1951. And those corridors still exist today, but with state-of-the-art improvements for modern-day freight. The past 20 years, Milwaukee has been touted as one of the best city bus transit systems in the nation, and we're very proud of that. I'm here to present an opportunity to consider creating a true regional multimodal system network built for the next 50 to 100 years for the region, and to introduce the E-Way Regional Commuter Rail System to you today. You'll see here on this cover, it's a covered platform at our proposed Worth Park Station in Brookfield, and I'll share more as we go forward. The E-Way was developed by Transit Innovations. We are an innovative transit startup company over the past 12 years. What you're looking at here is a proposed station for downtown West Allis. You'll notice a 2-story warming house and a transit-oriented development housing development to the right of that. The goal of Transit Innovations is to connect our community's key economic assets via a modern, regional public transit system. For the past 12 years, this startup company has invested the necessary due diligence to move this project forward on many levels. Many people ask, why is it taking so long? Why has it taken you 12 years? Well, you can imagine what it would take to build a railroad system for the region. Like everyone else, our momentum was certainly interrupted by COVID, but we used that time constructively, and we continued to invest in the research to build a modern business model for a profitable and sustainable, privately funded public commuter rail system. Transit Innovations has privately funded the project up to this point, and we've come a long way over the past 12 years for the region. Here you're looking at an overall systems map of the entire E-Way system that is built and operated privately by Transit Innovations. It identifies 32 neighborhood stations across the region, spanning over 100 miles of already existing Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railroad and Union Pacific Railroad track. The system moves passengers between our neighborhoods in Milwaukee and Waukesha counties, with phases extending to Racine, Kenosha, and Washington counties. We did have a eureka moment early in our planning when we realized that unique to Milwaukee and this region, we realized the railroad's existing rail system already connects every trip generator in the region that sells tickets along the E-Way commuter rail system. The E-Way system is ecologically sound, contributing to a cleaner environment. It connects communities to educational and medical campuses. It provides access to the region's entertainment districts, as well as access to employment centers, thus creating an opportunity of equity through transportation and ultimately a catalyst for economic development. Additionally, the ethos of this project is represented in a concept that we call Spirit of Place, where we acknowledge the culture, the geography, and the history of each station community through creative installations at stations. And this is how the E-Way got its name. Here is the proposed Worth Park Station Pavilion that you can see. It's a wonderful example of the collaborative efforts with city planners to recreate a public space for our communities. Transit Innovations Strategic Business Plan demonstrates how a train project can make money and how we can create a source of sustainable operations for the future. We began our funding with private investment of our immediate team. We have since secured a $400 million private activity bond secured by Citigroup. And due to a concept proposed by the railroads, we are pursuing new Federal Transit Authority grants dedicated specifically for commuter rail projects to back our private funding. Our business model has since evolved into a public-private partnership, and we are now leveraging private funding with public investment to ensure the success of this project. The key to success, sorry, not sure if that moved. Here we go. The key to success is a profitable business model with sustainable operations without subsidization. We accomplish this business model first by leasing existing rail infrastructure from the railroads, which would otherwise be cost prohibitive and insurmountable. This lease includes ongoing maintenance of track, bridges, and right-of-ways. We are also moving forward to acquire and remediate derelict sites for stations. These are contaminated, abandoned sites that demand little to no property taxes. We clean up the sites, we build privately owned real estate improvements in the form of e-way stations, and we pay property taxes on those stations to each of our communities. Because we operate privately without the burden and the cost of public pensions, which typically consume about 45% of public transit budgets, the e-way can be sustained by ticket sales, parking revenues, last mile connector revenues, and advertising revenues without a need for operational subsidies. Here you're seeing a collaboration of a TOD concept at our proposed zoo station. Here is a future proposed platform at North Avenue Station along the 30th Street corridor. I want to talk a minute about the role of the railroads in this process. You should know that Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railroad and Union Pacific Railroads have actively participated in the development of the e-way system. They understand that there is an opportunity here for commuter rail to commingle on existing track with their freight rail. And for example, the e-way peak ridership times do coincide with low freight traffic schedules. The railroads have been very open to our discussion to pursue rail access leases, and they look forward to our updates as we continue to secure and control our station sites. Here we show an adaptation of a covered platform at our proposed North Tosa station. The existing Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railroad and Union Pacific Railroad rail infrastructure lends itself to the e-way, with over 100 miles of infrastructure for the system that we are proposing. Union Pacific accounts for a total of 35.4 miles of that system, and Canadian Pacific Kansas City, another 66.4 miles. And we do have a future anticipation of another 28.5 miles of Union Pacific track. So people ask often, how long does it take to get from here to there? So I want to provide you with some examples of a typical commuter trip. Here we're showing the intermodal station to Brookfield segment, a total of 13.7 miles, and an estimated travel time with stops of about 21 minutes. Here's intermodal station to Century City Station, only 6.8 miles, with an estimated travel time of about 10 minutes. When we consider intermodal station to airport station, again, this is a segment that is already built and in place. Both stations and platforms exist. A total of 7.1 miles with a short estimated travel time of just 10 minutes. Intermodal station to Pleasant Prairie, a span of 35.6 miles with very few stops along the way and an estimated travel time of 21 minutes. Here is the segment from Harbor Yard's Lakefront Station to Waukesha, a total of 20.2 miles and an estimation of about 18 minutes of travel time. And finally, I have Butler Yards Industrial to Sussex Station, 8.4 miles, and with fewer stops, a short 5-minute travel time. Here's another angle, an aerial view of the proposed North Avenue station from the east. This is a wonderful demonstration of how stations can be small and relatively inexpensive and easy to build, all while serving our communities. During Transit Innovation's initial ridership studies over the course of 10 years, we enlisted the services of Sewer PAC, the Wisconsin DOT, Steer, Kimley Horn, and other credible sources. And our initial general findings projected that there was a desire for year-round daily ridership on our system, not just during peak times, during Summerfest or State Fair. It also projected that annual revenues would sustain our operations through ticket sales, parking revenues, last mile connector revenues, and advertising revenues. But the E-Way is not just a transit system. The E-Way system alone is an $800 million plus commuter rail network of rail infrastructure and station development, with an additional proposed $500 million plus of real estate development as transit-oriented developments in TOD zones around stations, consisting of mixed-use real estate ranging from commercial and retail spaces, medical offices, affordable housing, and market rate housing, with an expected catalytic residual economic impact of $1.5 billion plus. In short, this project is an economic development project. It is a project that just keeps growing for decades. Here you're looking at a wonderful example of our future North Tosa station and proposed TOD housing development. It's a great example of a large, more elaborate station creating TOD neighborhoods where people will live, work, and play. Here we have another angle of the future Waukesha station, proposed medical campus. This is a fabulous example where TI performed market study research which revealed a specific demand for medical offices at this location. So let's talk about job creation. When we consider job creation, we must consider access to jobs. And the E-Way system provides transportation to a regional labor force, providing the region's 14 major job centers access to employees. The E-Way system reaches downtown Milwaukee, downtown Waukesha, the New Berlin Industrial Park, the Airport Industrial Park, Oak Creek Industrial Park and Drexel Town Square, just to name a few. We are currently working on an updated job creation study that is being performed by Baker Tilly and graciously funded by the First Ring Industrial Redevelopment Enterprise. Access to labor is key. Communities need labor for growth. Communities that grow do thrive. And communities that thrive are here and better 100 years from now. And that is exactly what this economic development project is all about. Here you're looking at a future downtown West Allis station with proposed low-density housing development and a 2-story warming house station designed to host a destination project along the E-Way. Here's a great example of Transit Innovation's collaboration proposed with other organizations. This is a proposed platform at AmFam Station in the Valley. And we have proposed a shared parking concept with the Brewers organization to utilize unused surface parking at this location. So Transit Innovation sees a vision of what a clean, efficient, safe, and convenient transportation system could be, with public safety and enhanced security top of priority. We aim to improve the quality of life of residents and create a destination for regional tourism, and provide an opportunity for municipalities to become involved and actively participate in this public-private opportunity. Here we have a glimpse of the proposed downtown Brookfield station with a pedestrian skywalk over the railroad crossing to access parking on the other side. And this slide is the big question. When will the E-Way launch? And it is a question that is challenging to answer. I want to point out again that the first segment from airport station to intermodal station already exists. The platforms and the stations are built, and we're in the process of inquiring about leases for those stations. But our company, Transit Innovations, must finalize some next steps for the E-Way Regional Commuter Rail System project. We need to raise additional local private investment to buy and secure the predetermined station sites. We need to finalize our rail access lease conversations with the railroads and secure an option to enter into leasehold over the next couple of years. And we need to finalize our ridership and revenue studies for our municipalities. We were encouraged to do so by the counties and to pursue FTA grants to accomplish this task. And then finally, to publicly and officially introduce the E-Way Regional Commuter Rail System to the region. Here is a view of our proposed lakefront harbor yard station. This is a proposed collaboration with the landowner and the developer for parking and housing in this station area. So how do we move forward at this point? We always knew that we would need to move forward as a community. The E-Way has accomplished a wide range of support from counties and municipalities to proceed. They have applauded our efforts, and they encourage us to finalize our ridership and revenue studies to accomplish the necessary equity raise for the acquisition of our station sites and to secure the rail access leases. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is interested in partnering with Transit Innovations to pursue new Federal Transit Authority grants for the E-Way project that are specifically dedicated for commuter rail. And we continue to inform our station communities of our progress and to seek their ongoing support. Here's a glimpse at our future Century City station along the 30th Street corridor. In closing, I just want to add that I came here today to confirm that what Transit Innovations believes is true. That the public, that this very room wants what the E-Way project has to offer. That we want a truly multimodal system without having to subsidize it. And that we are ready for the economic development that it brings to the region. Let's see if I can find my last slide here. There it is. Again, here is Century City Station and a wonderful example of an expression of spirit of place with this art installation. I will leave you with my contact information, and I hope to hear from some of you. Additionally, my colleague Carrie Wendt is available for contact as well, so please do seek her out. Thank you for your time today. I know that we will take a few minutes for Q&A, but I must admit that short of a non-disclosure agreement, there is little more that I can share, but I would be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Jacquelynn. If you do have a question, you may use this microphone here and line up behind me.
For a minute there, I was hoping I covered all the bases, so.
So I'm just kind of wondering what the top speed of the trains are going to be, because I was kind of doing calculations. You're doing about 60 miles an hour on some of those segments, so what's your top speed going to be?
So it's my understanding from that technical region of our company, that they're looking at about 30 to 40 miles an hour on average.
Because you're given rates that were 20 miles in 20 minutes.
That would be 60 miles an hour. So I've been told that we're looking at an average of 30 to 40 miles an hour between stops. And again, it depends on the number of stops along the way. So appreciate you pointing that out. I'm going to work on those calculations with our team. But thank you.
In your presentation, you talked about the last mile problem or challenge that you have, and you said it was a revenue source. Could you talk about what happens
Sure.
once people arrive at those stations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a last mile connector system is a system using existing last mile connectors in the form of Ubers and buses and the HOP, along with there are medical campuses and educational campuses that have last mile connector systems that we've spoken with and would be happy to meet us at our stations to get the riders where they need to go. In addition, part of our pro forma is setting aside some money to supplement the last mile connector concept with our own series of systems of transportation services. I want to point out that one of the things we're very excited about is bringing a plethora of passengers through the intermodal station that was designed to be the gateway to our community and thus provide more regular and paying ridership for the wonderful HOP.
I think this would be really exciting for the whole region, which I think is the secret to Milwaukee's success. Again, as a child, I remember I heard about the intermodal or the interurban railway that you could live in Sheboygan and work in Milwaukee. You could go to Watertown on the train. When I started working downtown, people still remembered commuting in from Watertown every day. And I think as far as we're seeing Kenosha. So I would think there'd be a lot of subsidies you could get from manufacturers or for other communities in those regions. I know you don't want to use the word subsidy, but investments from a lot of areas that would cover this type of project.
Thank you for that acknowledgement. We have spoken to every major job center and major corporations across the region. They are very excited to support us, first and foremost, with pre-ticket sales, pre-sale tickets, to provide that source of transportation to their employees. One of the things I want to point out about the tickets, the annual tickets, are certainly shareable amongst employees of organizations and amongst household members of the same household. So it's a very lucrative way to provide transportation benefits to employees, and we've seen a great deal of support from those corporations and those industrial parks.
Hi.
Hi.
This was a very fly presentation.
Thank you.
My question is, what is the relationship with, or do you have one with county transit and the bus system? As I look at some of these locations, this is a great way to complement the current bus system that we have. And so has there been any conversations? Are you guys complementary with each other? Are you working as friends? Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's a great question. We absolutely have been in contact with every multimodal transit aspect of the region, and they understand how we can support them and make their system better. This is not about replacing anything. This is not about taking funding away from anything. This is about bringing new Federal Transit Authority dollars for commuter rail to create a fully well-rounded regional commuter rail system that will support every aspect of transit that we put in place in this city and in this region thus far. Thank you for that question.
Great question, Antoine. Mine was a stretch, but that was my question. But I have another question. I'm a guest of Antoine, thank you. And I want to know, why is now the time? I know there was a question mark as far as when this would be implemented and when things could start going because of the investments needed. But why now? Where did the vision come from in the first place? Because it's not lost on me when I travel that Milwaukee doesn't have this yet. And why do we need it now?
Well, we've needed it for a very long time. This is not the first blush at bringing commuter rail to Milwaukee. Unfortunately, past concepts left a pretty heavy burden on the taxpayers of the city and the region, so it never made it very far. The visionary behind this project actually goes way back to his college days in Madison when he met with a professor of his, and they were fascinated with the pre-existing commuter rail or pre-existing rail system in Milwaukee And the fact that it literally snaked through the city, touched every community, touched every trip generator, and that using existing infrastructure would create a tremendous financial opportunity for a private company to come in and do what the public could not get accomplished. So since that time, it's been kind of a vision of his. The past 12 years, it's taken this long just to accomplish what I brought you today. Of course, there is a plethora of information. We have a 240-page strategic business plan that I'm happy to share at some point with certain interested parties, with cause and with a non-disclosure agreement. But the information goes far and wide and very, very deep. I'm here today to present this vast topic with about this much depth, and I have really intelligent people that can do a deep dive on any aspect of this project that you want. But the why now is that our project is ready now. It is as ready as it can be. We've teed it up in every way, shape, and form that we can. We do have some work to do ahead of us, and we're not afraid to do that. But we do know that it was always going to take a village and the support of each community and a collective community to make this come to fruition. So if this is what the community wants, this is what we will work toward.
Thank you. My question is, does the non-disclosure relate to naming private investors? And if that's so, if somebody wanted to be an investor, how would they go about doing that?
It's a great question. Thank you very much. The main reason for the non-disclosure is twofold. One is that we have had many conversations with the railroads, and they take those conversations very seriously. So I'm not at liberty to discuss a certain degree of that. In addition, our station sites are extremely specific. We've invested a tremendous amount of time, energy, and resources to determine exactly where those station sites should be, and we don't want to get into a competitive real estate, race to acquire those properties. It's really important to the overall economic profitability of the project that we can make this happen based on the properties that we're looking at and at the market rates that we're looking at. So that's the main reason for the non-disclosure. And the second part of your question was about investment. We recently, actually, just as of yesterday, I got a message from our finance director who has been working on a valuation for the project and the company so that we can publicly come out with a investment vehicle opportunity for this community. Again, we are raising a significant amount of money for the acquisition of sites. So that is the next thing that we will be unfolding, and I'd be happy to get your contact information if you want to reach out to me, and we can make that presentation available to you as well.
Jaqulynn, thank you very much for educating on this. It is something that we definitely need. I think it's very exciting. I'm just curious on how many years you're projecting out to get the transit system, up and running. And I mean, it's a huge project that you're doing, and it sounds very exciting, and it's going to really change Milwaukee. So I guess my question is, how many years out do you think it'll take to get to the point where it's operational?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the first segment of our project from airport station to intermodal station is ready to go. The stations and the platforms exist, and short of leases and some rolling stock, which are train sets for the system, that would be our first segment. We do have a schedule over the course of 10 years of building and enlisting each station along the way. A lot of that will depend on how quickly we can enlist the help of other developers, other architects, other construction workers, other community members that want to get involved and financially benefit from this economic development project. So the faster we can build, the sooner it'll be ready. As I mentioned, the system is teed up and in place. Our next goal is to acquire the station sites. And as we acquire them and as we achieve the transit-oriented development zoning for each and get approvals from each community based on our preliminary concepts, stations will start happening. So again, in short, we do have a station schedule that kind of shows a waft of stations being developed from station 1 to station 32 over 10 years.
Thank you for the presentation. You have mentioned a number of different communities that you are projecting to have stations in. What is the expectation or the responsibility of that community as far as funding this, providing land? I mean, how does the municipality need to participate to make this happen?
Great, thank you. The greatest participation from each municipality is support. And we have acquired letters of support from each municipality, each community, and each county, varying from, we absolutely love the project, the way that you're laying it out, to, and we support the project, the E-Way, as it is being presented, to we support the pursuit of Federal Transit Authority grants to finish your ridership and revenue studies and to further educate our municipalities. Beyond that, just collaborating with us in what's needed in that community, what kind of station design and what they need us to, build in TODs around that station. We certainly want their collaboration there, and to provide us with the zoning and to work with us in the production of their contribution to the E-Way system. We are not looking for any subsidization from those communities. However, I will say that there are grants available through each community, and we will navigate that with them. If there's money that's available that is not committed to another project that they can use to enhance the station in their community and enhance the project overall, we certainly are open to that collaboration.
My wife and I go out to New York every fall, and without public transportation, we would not be able to survive. We love it out there. The mayor of Milwaukee wants to raise the population to 1 million and increase housing here. If this all goes into place, there wouldn't be any reason to move into Milwaukee.
That's an interesting perspective. I appreciate that. I can say that Cavalier Johnson is well aware of the project. He has given us a glorious letter of support and continues to work with us as we update him on our progress along the way. I will say, as a newcomer to Milwaukee the past 5 years, I have a wake of people that have come to me from central Wisconsin and out of state who had preconceived ideas about Milwaukee, and having been here and experienced Milwaukee, are really excited to come back and consider Milwaukee as home. I think that the commuter rail system provides people with an opportunity to have access to our city and all of the things that it has to offer, without the stress of driving in, without the stress of finding parking, without the stress of worrying about their vehicles being damaged or vandalized. So I think it's an opportunity to invite people to consider Milwaukee as home.
Thank you, Jaqulynn.
Thank you.